All right, we're going to do adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomial notes. Most of this is a review. Some of it might be a little new in the multiplying area, but again, this is a review. So we're going to perform certain operations between polynomials. So our success criteria is make sure you identify what operation is being asked. Are we adding, subtracting, or multiplying? Then perform that operation and simplify all the way, and then we're going to write our answer in standard form. So let's look at the adding and subtracting. That's 1 through 4. So the first one, notice my operation in between is adding. So remember, adding does not do anything to the parentheses behind it. So I'm going to rewrite the entire expression without the parentheses. And then now I combine like terms. So first I check 2x to the fourth. Is there another x to the fourth anywhere? If not, then I'm going to write that one first. 2x to the fourth, I'm already done with that one. After that, I look to see, are there any x to the third? So to the third degree. And I do see this 3x to the third. So I'm going to do that one next. So plus 3x to the third. Done with that one. After that, we look, are there any squareds, any x to the second power? And I do see one right here, the 5x squared. So that would go next, plus 5x squared. After x squared is x's. Notice you have two x's. You have negative 2x or negative 3x minus 2x. So that's going to give us a minus 5x. And then lastly, your constants. I have an 8 and a 7. So I'm going to add those two together and I'm going to get 15. There is no other simplifying I can do because I can't combine any other terms because they're all unlike terms. And notice I did write my answer in standard form from the highest exponent all the way down to your constant. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try number 2 on your own. Number 2, again, is another adding, so go ahead and pause and try on your own. Unpause to see the solution. All right, when you did this, again, the plus sign does not affect anything behind it, so that's how I got positive 8x squared minus 6x minus 7. When I combined like terms and simplified, I got 2x to the third minus x squared minus 2x. And that was my final answer in standard form. All right, moving on to subtraction. So notice, what is the symbol between these two? It's a subtraction. That does affect everything behind it, and our signs will change. So for the first part, I'm going to just drop my first set of parentheses. But then in the back, it's going to change every single sign there. So minus 2x cubed minus 3x plus 4x squared plus 1. Now I can combine like terms. Look for the highest degree first. So notice it's x cubed. So I'm going to combine 8x cubed minus 2x cubed, which is going to give me 6x to the third, right? 6x cubed. So I dealt with those. Next, move on to see, are there any like terms between x squared to the second power? I have 3x squared and 4x squared. I'm going to add those together. So 3x squared plus 4x squared is going to give me 7x squared. Done with those. Moving on to your x terms. I have negative 9x minus 3x. So I'm going to combine those, negative 12x. And then lastly, your constant. Do you have any like terms with your constant? I just have this one, so then it's plus 1. And again, it's written in standard form, highest degree all the way down to the lowest degree. All right, go ahead and pause the video, try number 4 on your own. Again, notice it is a subtraction, so how is that sign going to affect everything behind it? Pause the video, try number 4. All right, your answer should have been 2x to the third plus 3x squared plus 5x plus 4. That's adding and subtracting. Now let's go ahead and look at multiplying. So number 5 is a little bit of a review. You remember we use FOIL. So first times first. So x times 2x. That's your first times your first. You get 2x squared. Then I have my outer times outer. So x times 3. I get a positive 3x. Then I have my inner times inner, so negative 4 times 2x. That's going to give you negative 8x. And then you have last times last, negative 4 times a positive 3, negative 12. And then remember, we can combine our two middle terms because they are like terms. So my final answer should be 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. And then that's how we multiply binomials. So again, that was a review and we used FOIL. Now we're going to get a little bit longer in what we're multiplying. So it's not going to be a binomial by binomial, 2 terms times 2 terms. It might look a little something like this, a binomial times a trinomial. And we're going to use what we call box method. I know some of us already use box method, so this might be familiar to some, but this is going to be how I would do longer problems. So if I know this is 2 terms by 3 terms, I'm going to make my box, my rectangle, and then I'm going to go ahead and split it halfway for my 2 terms and then into 3 sections on the top. So the 3 trinomial is going to go on the top. So x squared plus 4x minus 5. Notice I am including the sign. And then on the side, I'm going to put my binomial. So x plus 5. And then this is very similar to your biology Punnett squares. You're going to multiply to get inside your box. So x times x squared gives me x to the third. X times 4x, that's going to give me a positive 4x squared. X times negative 5, negative 5x. Now let's do our bottom row. We have 5 times x squared. That's going to be a positive 5x squared. 5x times a positive, 5 times a positive 4x. That's going to give me a positive 20x. And then I have 5 times negative 5, negative 25. Notice I have like terms in my box. I'm going to go ahead and combine those like terms when I write it outside. So I'm going to start with my highest term. So that's that x cubed, so x to the third. I'm going to combine my 5x squared and 4x squared to give me a positive 9x squared. Then I'm going to combine my 20x and my negative 5x to give me positive 15x. And then I have my constant, 25. That is my final answer written in standard form. All right, I want you to try number 7 on your own. Set up your box. I can help you do that. So again, it's a trinomial times a binomial. So I would make it long, and then I'm going to cut it in half, and then into thirds vertically. So now I'm going to set up my 2x squared plus 3x minus 8 on top, because that's the longer one, and my binomial 2x minus 3 along the sides. So go ahead and pause the video, try to work this one out using box method, and then unpause to see your solution. And if you need to, go back and rewatch number 6. All right, for number 7, we should have gotten 4x to the third minus 25x plus 24. Notice your x squared terms canceled out because one was a negative, one was a positive, so they canceled. Let's go ahead and look at number 8. Notice it is a trinomial times a trinomial, right? 3 terms by 3 terms. So when we make our box, we need to make sure we make it big enough to have a 3 by 3. All right, I'm going to put my first trinomial at the top. So we have x squared minus x plus 2, and then my second one on the side, x squared plus 3x minus 1. And now we're going to multiply. So I get x squared times x squared, that's x to the fourth, add your exponents. X squared times negative x is negative x to the third. x squared times 2 is going to give me a positive 2x squared. Now for our middle row, 3x times x squared gives us a positive 3x to the third. Positive 3x times that negative x, that's going to give me a negative 3x squared. Positive 3x times a positive 2, positive 6x. Now for our last row, negative 1 times x squared, negative x squared. Negative 1 times a negative x, negative times negative, positive x. And then you have a negative 1 times a positive 2, negative 2. Notice again, we do have some like terms. So when we write out our final answer, I'm going to make sure to combine those like terms. So x to the fourth comes out first. I have positive 3x cubed minus x cubed, so a positive 2x cubed. Then I have negative x squared minus 3x squared plus 2x squared. That is going to give me negative 2x squared. Then I have x plus 6x, so that's going to give me positive 7x, and then that constant of minus 2. So I get x to the fourth plus 2x cubed minus 2x squared plus 7x minus 2 as my final answer. All right, let's go ahead and look at the last one, number 9. Notice it is a binomial times a binomial, so you could FOIL or we can continue to use the box. Let's go ahead and use box method so we make sure that we get enough practice with it. So this is just a 2 by 2 box. So I have x squared minus 1 on top, and then I have x cubed plus 4x on the side. So when I start to multiply, x cubed times x squared, add your exponents, that's x to the fifth. X to the third times negative 1, negative x to the third power. 4x times x squared, that's going to give me 4x cubed. 4x times negative 1, negative 4x. Again, we do have a like term there. So when I write out my answer, I'm going to have x to the fifth, combine my x cubes, so that's going to give me a positive 3x cubed, and then my last term of negative 4x. And that would be my final answer. All right, you do have a homework assignment over this. I believe it is homework 8.3. Yes, it is. You should be able to do 1 through 5 on this homework assignment. I believe it is page, give me a second, 11. I believe it's page 11 in your note packet. Yes, page 11 in your note packet. You should be able to do 1 through 5 as of right now.